All right, so good evening and a very warm welcome to one and all at the Design Career Summit by SetuGram. We are thrilled to have so many talented and ambitious design students, graduates, and aspiring entrepreneurs here with us to learn from our distinguished panel of experts. As you all know, SetuGram is a job board connecting talented designers with companies looking to hire. And we aspire to do so by bridging the gap in the design industry and staying committed to helping designers at all stages of their careers. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, we hope that today's panel discussion will provide valuable insights and guidance on building a successful career. Shaping design careers need a lot of upgrading skills, working in different kinds of businesses to understand the design needs, and of course, design entrepreneurial journeys. Our panelists are all accomplished leaders in their respective fields, and we are honored to have them here to share their expertise and experience with us. Please allow me to make me a moment to introduce them. Kriti Tula, the founder of Doodleage, is an advocate of sustainable fashion and upcycling. Kirti Punia, we're still waiting for her, but she's the co-founder of Fashion Tech Products promoting circular fashion, which brings an innovative approach to the industry. And the product is called Relove. Yosha Gupta, founder of Me Miraki, is a champion for artisans and cultural heritage. Amrita Haldipur, a brand and culture story builder, brings a wealth of experience in building successful brands. Riddhi Doshi is an independent journalist. Her bylines appear in the Hindustan Times, The Hindu, Mint Lounge, Brunch, Nat Geo Traveler, South China Morning Post, The National, and other publications. We also have Sachin Bhandari, who's an ex-PR professional who runs a business storytelling coaching and training firm called The Story Co. With his coaching, training, and consulting, he has been able to help companies like Tata Motors, Saks Retail, Bestseller India, and over 25 startups achieve their goals with speed and ease. And then we have Ankit Agrawal, the founder of TopMate, which is helping creators plan and sell their services more effectively. And he is also our tech partner for today's event. I thank each and every one of you for agreeing to be on our panel today. The next hour and a half will be divided into three parts. Insights from our panelists, and we'll be asking all our panelists for everything from mistakes made while applying for jobs to launching and selling products, branding, marketing, telling stories, and starting your own business. The next part will be the breakout room activity to give you a chance to network, discuss, and find collaborative opportunities and speak to our panelists. Finally, we'll end with a question and answer session where you can ask our panelists the questions you might have, and we urge you to all keep it relevant to the topic. Without further ado, let's dive right into the questions we have for our panelists, and let's explore a range of topics related to building a career in the design industry where change is the only constant. I will be asking specific questions to the panelists and would love for others to add on if they want to. But before we get into that, I want all the panelists to share with us how they embrace design in their own journey or career. Let's go in the alphabetical order. Amrita, Ankit, Kirti, Kriti, Riddhi, Sachin, and ending with Yosha. And then I can start with my panel questions. So let's begin with you, Amrita.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Nidhi. And very, very excited to meet the other panelists. I know Yosha and a bunch of others, but and of course it's I think I just want to take a moment to thank Nidhi to plan and curate such a session, because I think all of us have realized the importance of design at some point in our careers. And I think a lot of the attendees and the participants, if you're in your early stages, I mean, I wish I had embraced design at the very first of the couple of, my first years. But I think, yeah, it's a very good time. And just to give a sense of how I embraced design was, so my training has been in media. I've been a marketing and communications, and I've been working across different, my early years, almost 12, 13 years went working with media in different brands. And I think I was at that very interesting point where media brands and the OTT flavor was taking over, right? So Hotstar had just launched, Netflix was launching. I was thinking of, okay, now if I have to, as a marketing brand person, move move to the digital transformation of an industry like this, what are the skills I have to upgrade and do more, sort of work closely more with. So I was already working with design, but then I think I realized that I had to upgrade and take some skills and mix communication with design. And it opened up like a plethora of opportunities beyond media for me. So that was my early stages of how I decided to really, and I've been enjoying it a lot. So communication and design really goes hand in hand. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Amrita, for sharing it. We can move on to Ankit now.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. Thanks a lot for having me. Welcome to everyone, and thanks a lot for joining. So for me, obviously, design is mostly around product design. And the reason I see that why it is very important and why design in general is very important, because that is the way through which you kind of operate things, right? So this is what design is. So this helps you to either understand or kind of operate anything that you do in life. So whether it's like picking up a glass or like switching on a fan or something like that. So you keep seeing that innovation, like people keep saying that they're changing something. So I think my experience of kind of embracing is through by working in the startups. And I think the reason why my previous startup could not work was the design. So my personal belief in terms of how important design is came through this experience. So for me, it's very, very important, and it kind of helps you to understand things very simply and to basically make it accessible for everyone in the world. So I think that is what design is for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can we move on to Kriti, because Kirti, I don't think, has still joined here. Kirti, if you're here, can you please say a hi, because I'm not able to find you. So if she's not here, we can go ahead with Kriti, please.
Thanks, Nidhi, for organizing this event and having me for the conversation. Design, of course, for me is the basis of everything that I've learned and I do. As a design graduate, as then starting my own brand as well. And I think, in design careers, it's also, for us, it's more important to go hand in hand with communication, marketing, and learning that side of, of brand building. While design is the basis of what I started as a, where I started as a journey. And I think what is important in learning design is to find what needs to change, it's finding solutions, right? And that is what I embrace in design. And that is, I think, for us, when I started Doodlage as well, I think that was an important, because we started a conversation around sustainability a very long time ago. And for us, that was an important innovation in the fashion industry, or a change that the fashion industry needed, or a design intervention that the design industry needed.
Right, absolutely. We can go ahead with Riddhi, please.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and listening to, especially me, the 2 bits bhashan that I'm here for, and I'm glad for doing that. In the world of journalism, design can be divided into 2 crucial elements. One is visuals and the other is words. Words is very, very important, but your length of the article, the subject of your article, the page in which your article is going to appear will determine the design of the article, the flow of the article. So when it's a report, you will have to come to the point quickly. But if it's a feature story, then you can go a little roundabout and be more poetic or take some creative liberty, if I could say that. So that is the words aspect of design. And when it comes to visuals, visuals are very, very important for a magazine and even for a newspaper. So a lot of the times when we have great looking visuals, that story gets bumped up because the visuals are more appealing, because in today's day and age, visuals are really everything. Photojournalism is also one very, very important aspect, but visuals do all the talking. So a very well designed visual in that sense, which can capture a lot, which can basically tell you what is going on in a particular place, it basically does the job. So yes, in journalism, we have two kinds of design. It may not be like direct design. It could be a little indirect approach to it, but design is very important in journalism as well.
So glad to know that it is kind of also very motivating for the students to understand that there is so much behind them that they can carry forward, as legacy, not just in the design industry, but every aspect. Like Ankit said, his startup might have failed because of design. You were saying that even in journalism, it is very, very important. So it definitely is a very motivating aspect here to know that. So we can go ahead with Sachin on that note.
Thanks, Nidhi. Thanks for having me in this session. So, if I wanted to sound intelligent, I would say that design is everywhere and design is life, etc., etc. But the PR professional, the BD guy in me, for me, design has always been a PowerPoint presentation. Sometimes even if your product is not that great, but if you're able to create a great PowerPoint which has great visuals and it narrates a great story, sometimes you get the client, right? And continues to this day. Even when I've, as a business storytelling coach and trainer, even in the L&D department, when you are sending a program proposal, it is referred to as program design. And I don't think it's by default or it's a misnomer. It is the right thing because everything that you do, so from a Netflix series to a great story to a training program, if the design is not right, how you take your audience on a journey and you bring them to the right kind of conclusion, if that's not right, then they are not going to get what they opted for. So design in the end is everywhere. And I think it's really, really important. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sachin, on sharing your thought with us. And I would just like to inform everyone that even Kirti has joined. Thank you, Kirti. I just got your message. There was some kind of emergency and you could still make it here. Thank you so much for that. And we can go ahead with Yosha and then we can take up Kirti.
Thank you. Good to see you, Kirti. We meet on panels. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Nidhi. And I think for me, I wanted to be a fashion designer, interestingly, when I was starting my career, didn't get through NIFT and took the shortcut of doing an MBA and joined, went the business route. But design found me because I joined a startup very early on in my career, like Ankit mentioned startups. And I became a product manager and I did product design in startups. And I think I kind of like taught myself that literally because it was really early days, for startups 14 years ago. So product design, user experience design didn't really exist as a discipline at all. So I pretty much taught myself that. And I think over the years for me, design mostly has come to mean user experience design. Like for me, that's most important, looking for customer insights, translating that into what it means for every stakeholder in the equation is what I focus on as far as design is concerned.
Thank you so much, Yosha. We can move on with Kirti. I know, Kirti, you missed the question. So the question was, how do you embrace design how did you embrace design in your own journey or career? That's the question that all the panelists are asking for now in general, and then we'll be moving ahead with our panel discussion.
I think all the businesses that I've been a part of have been very design heavy. It's a very integral part of both product and communication. Design is not just in brand building or, the layout of your app or the garment that you're wearing. Design is every single touch point that a customer comes through. I think we've always made sure that we work with some very talented designers who understand brand guidelines, who understand how to build a brand. And I think both Okhai and Relove have such a strong brand essence, right? The minute you think of Okhai, you think of the red color of the artisan's outfit, and you think of the orange color in the logo and the white. When you think of Relove, I think such an iconic logo. It's I think never missed by anyone. I've started wearing the Relove t-shirt, and I meet every day. I meet so many people who tell me that they recognize the logo. So I think design has to be something that builds an identity for your brand. It helps people trust the brand. And I would say that, in today's world, there's no way around it. Like, there's a certain expectation, a certain level of design that is required by brands. So I would say there's a serious lack of design talent in the country, which is very, very evident when you accept applications for graphic designers. It's a huge gap in the industry. I think if people can work on that sort of skill set, there would be great demand for people.
Thank you so much for bringing up that, Kirti. That is something that, even SetuGram is trying to do to bridge that gap. There are a lot of students who actually want to do a lot of things, but they do not know what exactly is expected out of them. So moving on, that is exactly what my question to you, Kirti, today is. There are a plethora of mistakes students make while applying for jobs. And the most common ones are like, we all know it. Even I think they also might know that, they are the random subject lines, not addressing the hiring person at all, or worse, addressing them wrong, not customizing the resume and portfolio, just sending it like that. Once I've made it, I'm done. I cannot do it anymore. Do not have that attitude, please. What are some other mistakes you have seen that our attendees can avoid making while applying? And what catches your eye while recruiting someone for any role?
So because I'm recruiting for a role right now, I have a couple to share. I got an application today and she attached somebody else's resume.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's not even the same person, like what happened? So something as simple as carelessness while applying showcases really bad attention to detail, which is not a good sign when you're applying to a company, because companies care about attention to detail so much. When you become a representative of the company, every single thing that you do is so critical. I'd done a long Insta story, sort of thing on this about applying. I think, Nidhi, you may have seen it.
Yes,
There's so many mistakes that one can make, but I think the basic one is to apply with the subject line that has been asked, with the position that you're applying for, with a very little, crisp explanation. It doesn't have to be a very long cover letter, and attach the right resume. In design, don't forget to attach your portfolio. It's a big, big problem because college students don't have very elaborate portfolios, so they're shy of attaching those. But if they don't attach anything, then there's no way to tell what their design capabilities are. So whatever you may have, like I ask people, if you've designed a dress at home on your own, just send me a photograph of that dress. So right now I'm hiring a content creator and I'm like, sure enough, you've not worked with a brand as a content creator, but have you ever made a reel on your own? Just send me a folder of that. So like today, somebody was sending me folders of the reels that I'd asked for. And I was like, can you send me a published one so that I can see how people responded and engaged with it? Now, employers want to see live examples, right? So you want to see that, okay, it may have got only 2,000 views, but what was the nature of comments on it? What was the interaction of the world with it? I think that gains a lot of attention from brands.
I absolutely agree with you. Thank you so much on answering that. My next question is about starting a business, and I would like Kriti to answer it. So Kriti, there are a lot of challenges that designers face when building and launching a collection and selling it. Once you've made the collection, how to sell it. One collection might work, but how to make sure the other one does too. Your suggestions and solutions to overcome this and how to handle it if at all it happens.
Thanks, Nidhi, for that question. Firstly, I think one should not hurry in starting a business or starting a brand. I think a lot of young, we take a lot of interns also, we work with young graduates also. And very, like in the last 5 years, the trend of starting something of your own has become a lot more. I mean, it's become a lot like a very wide trend among students that they're graduating and they want the attention span to learn from another organization, the commitment to work with an organization and learn has reduced more and more. And I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. Sometimes you really know that you want to start a brand, and you're probably the right person to do it very early on. But more often than not, there's a learning curve in starting your own brand. And that's not something that you necessarily are equipped to do as soon as you graduate. Because yes, you might have the right creative skill set to do it, but to run a brand, there is a lot more that goes into it. So everybody that I actually work with when they're young, I try to explain the same thing. I'm not saying that you lack the creativity to start a brand, but there is so much that running a brand takes from you, which means that exactly your question, how to make sure that your collection will do well year after year. When is it that you will start running out of that creativity? Do you want to create endlessly? What is the USP of the brand? What is your target market? What kind of funds do you need to start this brand? How long will you keep that brand running with the funds that you've invested in it? Those are real questions that need to be answered, which only come with industry experience. And I think a lot of students that are now graduating lack the patience to gain that experience. I think, for example, my first ever internship, maybe the only thing that I learned out of it was to not work in an organization like that. But at least I worked to sort of understand that, this is not the kind of culture that I understand in fashion. Mass fashion is not something that I want to be a part of. This endless creation is not something that I want to be a part of. And at least that pivoted me into that direction that I wanted to take with my career. At least even with that first internship, I got that. And I spent 10 years learning from that industry to say that, okay, today I want to stop and give my full time to my brand. To understand your supply chain, to understand your target market, to understand that your collections don't fail. Give enough time to yourself to learn beyond your classroom learning of creating a product. And I think, like everybody pointed out, that its design goes beyond creating that collection. It goes into your branding, it goes into your communication, it goes into your customer engagement, it goes into your customer retention. So it's to learn all of that, you need to give yourself time to work with various kinds of organizations, learn from their mistakes, grow with them. And then once you have that understanding of what the industry demands to create your own brand, where does your brand, how to position that brand of yours, who are you targeting to? It's not just the garment that you create or the collection you create, it's who you're creating for and what is the medium or the channel that you're using to reach that consumer. That also defines what your collection would look like year after year. So to find that, I feel experience is one thing that that is important to spend time on.
Thank you so much, Kriti, for taking that question and answering it so well. I completely agree with you. And this is exactly what I tell all my students or the people who come to me for career counseling, is that you cannot just jump into starting something of your own, or you should not, rather learn by working with some organization. Even if it is a startup, you will get to learn a lot of things without spending a penny.
And if you have your own companies, actually, I mean, again, a lot of people who join the fashion industry come from a background of families where fashion is something that they have grown seeing, etc. Spend time in your own organizations,
Yeah.
but do the grunt work before you sort of, join and start your own, building your own collections to make sure that you know who you are creating that collection for and how are you making sure that that collection is reaching that customer.
Absolutely. The only thing they need to answer themselves is, what's the hurry? Why not learn first and then, go into that direction? So thank you so much, Kriti, for taking that. And this was about the garment business, where you are not completely, dependent on anyone. You can have your own in-house masters, karigars, or outsource them. But when it comes to doing business with the artisans, I'm sure it is way different from this. My next question is for Yosha. For those interested in starting a business that involves working with artisans, what needs to be kept in mind and how to ensure ethical and sustainable practices? Kirti can also add this to later after Yosha is done, as she has worked with them too at Okai.
Yes, thank you for that, Nidhi. I think the first thing would be literally what Kriti was just talking about, which is patience, which honestly I had to learn because I came from a world which I'd only done a lot of volunteer work in this space. I hadn't really, worked in the artisan space as part of my career because I came from the world of technology and product design and tech. So I wanted to rush things. I wanted to do things faster, grow at, faster paces. So I think the first thing that I had to learn was definitely patience, that, while there will be growth and finding the right, product market fit, making sure that what we're doing is something that is really required in the world. Of course, like all of that discipline came in, through my product design and product management experience, but making sure that I understood that, yes, the pace of growth will not be exactly the same as it is, in bigger tech organizations or in the industry that I was used to, is something that I had to learn. So patience is definitely something that, it comes with this space for sure. I think number two is making also understanding that, artisans are equal partners in what we do. It's not about supporting them or helping them. I hate using those words, in this narrative. And that's become a very, very common narrative in this space, that help the artisans, support the artisans. And I really hate that narrative because this is about equal partnership. They are national treasures, actually. I mean, Japan thinks of their artisans as national treasures. I don't know where we lost that narrative somewhere. And we want to bring that narrative back. We want to bring that, that we really want to champion them as our national treasures. And that's what we really focus on as well. So for us, while we know that we can't do everything, we can't ensure sustainability everywhere, we have to define what the mission of our organization is. And based on that mission, we need to ensure that we are tracking the metrics, based on that mission. So for us, our goal is that we want to make sure that India has over 3,000 styles of heritage arts and crafts. We want to try and cover many, many of those through our content-enabled commerce platform. We want to try and do workshops, create masterclasses for each of these heritage arts and crafts. So then we track that, okay, how many have we covered right now? We've only covered about 80 of those 3,000 right now, so very long way to go. Then the other part is that we want to make sure that, our North Star is that we should be creating income uplift for the artisans, master artisans that we work with. Then it's really important to track that number as well, knowing the baseline of, okay, what was their income, even if it's self-declared income, what did it used to be before we started working with them? How much have we been able to impact that overall? And being transparent about that as well, that, the numbers are very clearly published on our website, that 1.5 crores in the last 3 years has been, sent as income to our artisan partners in the last 3 years. So I think making sure that being very clear about what you're, trying to do, and ensuring that respect, equal partnership, and whatever part of your mission, is most important, making sure that you track that in metrics, in numbers very, very clearly as well. I think that's what ensures fairness and ethical, practices in this space. But yeah, Kirti, please do add, because I know you've done amazing work with Okai.
Thank you. I think most of the metrics have been covered by Yosha. I would say the one additional thing that Okai did to make sure that its essence remains true is to structure it as a non-profit, and which means the organization is led by the artisans, owned by the artisans, and forever there will be no investor interest to take any profits out of it. It will all go back to the artisans. And I think that structure can be very harmful sometimes to organizations who don't act professionally. But Okai learned to act extremely efficiently, extremely professionally, like any other D2C brand, and at the same time remained a non-profit, which is the beauty of this equation, that we did not behave like a lax NGO and were able to increase our impact. It went right from like 350 artisans in 2015 to 27,000 artisans last year. In right from one village in the coast of Gujarat to now across the country. So I think remaining true to the cause and sometimes enabling it through structures, legal structures, will also help you remain true to the cause.
Thank you so much, Yosha and Kirti, for answering that. I understand that it is this business is something where you need a lot of patience more than anything. And of course, you have to understand with what cause and for what cause have you started this business, and stay true to it no matter what. Today you're doing some business, tomorrow you might not, but that doesn't mean that things change for them. So you have to understand what was your cause and stay true to it. This was about building and managing the business. Next comes a very important aspect of business, or even building a personal brand, branding and marketing. And I want to ask Amrita, how can designers differentiate themselves in a competitive environment, and what role does branding and marketing play in this?
Thank you, Nidhi. It's a very important question, and I think I myself have over the years been doing a lot of reflection on it as a marketer. And I think just as a piece of advice that I want to give designers, no matter what stage of their career they are in, is couple of things that I have seen, because I team up a lot with a bunch of designers now, whether they are I do a lot of live projects with a couple of colleges where I teach. So I work a lot with students there, or I partner with senior designers. And I think one of the things I have learned is design definitely is more than the visual and the aesthetic interpretations, right? I think at the end, at the core of it, every designer needs to ask himself or herself is like, what kind of a solution I want to address with my design capability, right? So I think the first thing is, and I think it was covered already in some of the conversations you had so far, is we really, before we get to how to differentiate, I think first we should really get like this, I work with a lot of people and a lot of students. I see that there's this pressure to be perfect with design all the time. And I think that's something I want to kind of break that illusion, that I think the core of design thinking is you have to be at it and keep, it's an iterative process. You have to keep doing things and trying things. We do that with businesses. We do that with building brands. The same thing you should apply to your own, to your own brand as a designer, right? Till you really identify what is it that you really ace as a designer in, keep doing different projects, different assignments, whatever, in whatever form and shape they sort of, come. So I think once you start doing that and remove this illusion of failing, oh, I have to be perfect, because what happens then is when a lot of CVs come my way, I may not regularly, like I think Yosha, Kriti, a lot of others here on the panel may be talking to designers on a daily basis, maybe. But yeah, for me, whenever that happens, and it hasn't happened many times, when I call for CVs and I want to know new designers, I see most of their work just looks like a replica of one another. And I mean, there's nothing wrong in it, but I think what I want designers to ask themselves is, or my only request is, be true to yourself. It's good to feel inspired with what's happening and what brands are expecting, but don't lose your own identity in that bargain, because then what happens, one is at the surface level, what it looks like. And then second is, let's say when I start talking to people, now I have been working a lot on UX. Now, like Yosha said, I've been upgrading on UX over the last few years. Learning on my own and, through the projects I've been working on. Sorry, and one of the things that happens is I call for CVs, a lot of people, and very specifically looking for UX. Designers apply saying, yeah, we do UI, UX both. And then when I get into the conversation, I realize they don't know the difference between UI and UX. Again, there's nothing wrong in this. Everyone's learning and growing, but yeah, this gets caught very early. So I think if you're applying anywhere, if you know your skill, be true to it, and position yourself whichever way. Like now I'm of course talking UI, UX, it could be in fashion or any other fields of design. So one is, now if I have to say, okay, how do you sort of work towards building your personal brand? I mean, obviously, there are many things that can be done, but at the core of it, what are your rare skills, right? Focus on those. What are those skills that you have had great exposure in, you have great testimonials in, or you have been trained in? Start with that. Then focus on what are the things you can own, what are the areas where you can truly say, this is a very authentic space for me. Like, own your niche. Don't be scared to own niches, That's the second tip I would like to sort of share. And the third thing, with all this that you have, this toolbox, what is that exceptional offering you can create to, let's say I only want to work with a certain kind of businesses as a designer. It's absolutely fine. But be true to what that offering is. I think once you start sort of working on these kind of things and you start building your portfolio accordingly, then you can get into creating what's that unique value proposition you're creating or bringing to the table as a designer. And then keep things simple, because I see a lot of people using very flowery languages across, and it's all nice, but I think I would just advise everyone, I mean, especially designers, to just keep it simple and be very skill specific, and keep it. And your muse or your brands will find you. I think don't feel the pressure and crumble down with any pressure. So that's my only advice.
Thank you so much, Amrita. I completely agree. We are left with a very thin line between copying and getting inspired. So that is my request to all the designers, that please do understand when you are taking an inspiration from somebody else's work, don't end up making a replica of that. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Amrita. Moving on, did you know that a brand is remembered by the story it builds around itself? There might be a lot of taglines and advertisements with stories or jingles that you remember, and the brand is remembered because of that story. The other day, I was troubling my daughter with the Lifebuoy jingle, and she was so irritated with me, but I was having fun with it because that was going on in my mind. So there might be a lot of things that goes on in your, head, because it stays. So my question is for Sachin. Sachin, please tell us the importance and relevance of storytelling in brand and business building, and how can everyone be good at it? Or at least try, for that matter.
I'm pretty certain that everybody can be good at it. If you have the will, you will find a way to be able to do that. So when we started this conversation, I was chatting with Riddhi that I was in PR, right? So I quit my PR career in 2014 and I embarked on this teenage dream of traveling the world and writing stories. And I tried to take challenges in every country that I visited. So one challenge really stands out, and that was participating in a fighting festival in Peru called Takanakui. So basically on 25th December on Christmas Day, the entire town gets together, people indulge in fist fights, and they start the new year completely on a clean slate. It's almost like a social catharsis. So I went there to write an article about it for Mint Lounge, but also to participate in the festival. And I actually wanted to chicken out. I was super scared because I could see that people were bleeding and things like that. And I told myself, nobody knows I'm here. Why should I, even participate? Let me just go back to Cusco. So this was in a place called Santo Tomas, about 180 kilometers from Cusco. I said, let me just go back to Cusco and forget about this entire thing. And when I was about to give up, there was a voice in my head which asked me this question. Sachin, if you don't fight this afternoon, what's the story that you're going to tell your future wife and kids? I was not married back then. And to me, I think that was the moment that I realized the power of stories. There are a lot of things that we do in life today are because of the stories that we want to narrate about ourselves. Or, we wear a Manchester United jersey, or we go to Spain because of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Stories are always the reason why we motivate ourselves to take certain decisions. So in that sense, stories are like design, all pervasive. They're always there. and they actually teach us, inspire us, they help us build a connection. So a couple of, one example about storytelling and how it can build both your personal brand and your company brand. I think Vinita Singh does a great job of it. If you have followed her career, you'll probably remember that one of the stories about her that a lot of people know because of media is that she turned down a 1 crore job offer at the IIM, at her IIM campus interviews. We also know that her father holds the Guinness Book of World Records for discovering the most number of proteins. But at the same time, something that we also understand, and she narrates this over and over again, that when she graduated from IIM, she started a HR tech company because she was under that peer pressure that you have to do something really cool, something really techy, whereas she wanted to start a lingerie brand. It was only after 5 years that she realized that she has to get back to what she's really passionate about if she wanted to walk the path of entrepreneurship. And hence they started, I think, I forget the name of the company right now, but that company eventually pivoted and became Sugar. And she's continued to work with women. So there are two parts to a story, in my opinion, whether it's brand, whether it's a leader, whether it is a professional seeking a job. The two parts are your big narrative and your real stories. That's what I call them. A big narrative is what a brand has, right? Like if you think of Apple, think different, Nike, just do it, etc., etc. All of these and real stories are if you have those brand messages, which could be about a person, it could be about a brand or an individual. How do those messages get reinstated or reinforced or narrated in a more powerful way? That happens through real stories. So, like Vinita Singh is narrating these stories about women empowerment or about being somebody who's really diligent. All of these things is something that we know about her because of the stories that she narrates. Brand building, personal brand, organization brand, startup brand. I've worked with about 25 startups now. I coach startup founders, and I've realized that it's always true that as long as people know their own story and they are able to narrate their own story, which links back to the message, they will be able to build a great brand. And one such example is an IIT Kharagpur alumni. Her name is Malini. She runs company called Deconstruct Skincare. So we worked together in 2022. And she came to me saying, "Hey, Sachin, I know that I want to build a science-based brand, but I would need your help to articulate it." So we worked on this program, and eventually we realized that your customer story is also, essentially your brand story is your customer story. So educated Indian women who live in metros don't want skincare solutions that give them any side effects. But if you look at mass market beauty brands, जैसे आप ये क्रीम लगाओ, 4 शेड गोरे हो जाओ, सारे इंटरव्यू पार कर जाओ, and that's like talking down to these smart, intelligent women, right? So Deconstruct Skincare comes into the story and says, "Hey, we realize that you need information about what you're applying on your skin, and we do not want you to buy anything on an impulse, like how mass market brands are making you do." So information over impulse became the story of Deconstruct Skincare. And I think immediately after that, Malini was able to close a round of funding. She continues to use the story till date in her consumer communication. And in fact, like I met her last month when I went to, I live in Mysore, I went to Bangalore to meet her. And she told me that even the hiring that she does for her company is basis the story of the brand and whether people resonate with that story or not. So your big narrative. So just to give 2-3 tips to aspiring, job seekers, professionals, designers, is that whenever you get into any kind of high stakes communication, think about what is the larger narrative that you want to share. And within that, if there are 2 or 3 key messages, so you want to say that you were innovative, rather than saying, "I'm very innovative with my work," narrate a quick incident or anecdote of a time when you showcase that innovation. Because stories show, don't tell, right? So that's essentially what stories are. And also, like Amrita said, I believe she said that, keep it simple. And stories help you keep things simple. You don't speak in jargons. You don't speak in this stratospheric level strategic talk that only you and nobody else understands. So yeah, those are things that I think stories can help with.
Okay, so the take from there, from that would be keep it simple, and stories do sell. So moving on, the whole marketing and storytelling bit revolves around content and how well it is thought and written, right? And I would like to ask Riddhi, how is one assessed on their writing style? Of course, we understand that it should be understood by people, but then of course the requirements and personal style can be different. In that case, should one look for only clients resonating with their own writing style, or they should upgrade their skills? If yes, then how?
So I would like to take on from what Sachin said and even what Amrita said, that keep it simple. Don't make it flowery. In writing, we usually say something that tell the story to your mother or your father. And to do that, you have to be very honest. You have to be simple. You have to break down facts. That is something that does not change whether it's writing for a newspaper, a magazine, and I guess even for clients, because you have to reach out to a lot of people to whom you have to tell a story and they have to relate to it. Yes, your personal style could be different from what clients need, but that is where a good writer would be able to kind of navigate a little, in the sense you ask all the kind of right questions before you take on a content assignment, and the most crucial being that who who is your target audience. That is true for, again, writing in journalism as well. So if we are writing for, say, a younger audience, our language would be, say, a little more casual and yuppie. But if we are writing for like a more evolved audience, then we are at the liberty of, giving references from poets and writers and etc. So it depends. So again, when you're writing for a client, ask a lot of questions. Who are there? I not your story, but at the same time, hello, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Okay. At the same time, your style comes in where you can think of a very, very witty caption, or you can see things in a way that other writers may not be able to see. So, for instance, if I have to talk about a monsoon morning, people might talk about clouds and people might talk about uh, uh, rivers flowing, but I would like to talk about children having fun in a stream. Uh, Me as a writer, I'm more focused on people and people's stories. So that sort of a niche or an aspect you can always bring into your writing, even if it's for a client. So your ideas will always reflect you, but the presentation will have to be according to the way your client wants it to be. When it comes to upgrading your skills, I think definitely yes. And in whatever field you are in, you have to constantly upgrade. And as a writer, my upgradation really comes from reading other people's work. Sometimes there are also sometimes even books by senior journalists who write about, have different ways to think of an intro to your article, or different ways to conclude your article, or different ways to connect your intro and your end, or how to design your article in the sense that what should go right at the beginning, what kind of quotes will you use, what is your nut graph. Nut graph is something where in 3 or 4 lines you have to summarize the entire article. So so that is basically something that you can read from others. You can learn all these handy tips, definitely help. But yes, the more you write and the more you listen. So I always tell a lot of juniors who work with me, listen to good podcasts, like listen to BBC podcasts. The more you listen, the more refined your language be. You will think better and then you will write better.
Thank you so much, Riddhi, for answering that. Kriti, sorry for holding you back for so long. I understand you have an 8 p.m. meeting. We'll quickly take this up. We just have a few more questions to go, and if you cannot stay back, I would have to let you go. Very sorry about that. So this was all about planning, executing, branding, storytelling, and writing. Next comes a very important aspect, technology. And I request Ankit to take this one. We all know tech has enabled us and helped all of us enormously. What we want to know from you is how to use it effectively. And how can designers and creators plan and sell their services? What is the best way to use technology here?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. So I think technology these days is like coming in every place, in everything that we do. So be it like reading a blog article, most of the people do it on phones or iPads or something like that. So I think as a designer, be very friendly with the technology. So there are a lot of tools that are available. So even for creating your portfolio, there are a lot of tools available which are extremely easy to navigate, extremely pleasing to the eye for the other people. So I think experimentation is very important when it comes to technology, because there are plethora of options available, and especially designers, they have so many things that they can do collaboratively, be part of the communities, like for example, and use these tools which are like coming up new tools. Like for example, a great place to check out these things is Product Hunt. So if you go to Product Hunt, every day people are launching amazing tools for designers, and I think that will help you to get the understanding where the industry is moving and what is the right set of skill sets that you need to develop to kind of make you future proof. Because technology and everything is changing so fast, so technology will help you to identify the trend, where it is going. And then obviously there are many ways to kind of offer your services, sell your services. There are a lot of tools that are available. TopMate obviously is one of them, but at the same time, be very open to experiment. And I think as a founder of the TopMate, I would always say that never sell something for free. Think about your time, think about your effort as well, but at the same time realize the value that the other person will also enjoy if they are kind of investing something. So don't do anything for free, but be very technology friendly. That is what I say. So a lot of tools, Dribble, create your own website. I think someone said that they get these portfolios from people which are like very simple to see, and a lot of people don't even send them. So I think these will help you to create those collaterals that you have and showcase your work in a very nice way, a very professional way as well for the other person.
Right. Thank you so much, Ankit. And I'm just shooting a poll and we'll be moving on. I'm changing the flow a bit and I will take up one question before I let you go, Kriti. So I'm just sending the poll for the participants to fill out. While my question to Kriti is that, when it comes to starting a business, finding a USP can be challenging and overwhelming as well. For instance, I have come across a lot of students who want sustainability as their USP. Can that be a USP at all? And the next important thing is your TG. We were speaking about target group and target customers. So how does one define their target group or customer? And is it a good idea to keep it too broad, like for all age groups, or should it be very specific?
Thanks, Nidhi. Very lad question, but I will try to answer it. In terms of sustainability, I think Yosha had mentioned that it's important to sort of figure out what part of sustainability can your brand address, because it's such a broad space. And as a startup or as any brand that is starting a journey, if you're an old brand diversifying into something, or if you're a new brand trying to start a sustainable brand, it's important to understand that 100% sustainability is very difficult to achieve. And it's a journey of learning for the brand itself, because it's also a very new space. There are new innovations that are coming in every day. There are various ways of approaching sustainability. I run a brand which takes sustainability from material to people we create the products with, making sure our product is, try to make zero waste products, to use our wastage as well, looking at the packaging of the product as well. But to ensure last mile deliveries sustainably is still something that will not be able to achieve very easily or very quickly. So you need to understand. And also, we did not start doing all of this on day one. We started with looking at just fabric wastages from the industry and working with that. When Seokai approached sustainability, artisans was something that was the focus of their brand. When she's working with Relove today, bringing circularity and looking at reselling and connecting brands to reselling becomes an important part of sustainability. So you can choose to identify firstly what your product is. And once you've sort of identified the product, it's important to understand that who are you targeting with that product. But it's also important to understand that you may not know everything on day one of your brand. You may not also know that on 2 years down the line. So be open to pivoting, to understand like that there will be a pull and push from your brand side and from the market side as well. You might think that, okay, I want to sort of design something for a 16-year-old person who is very cool, very funky, very like is very associated with what I want to design. But how you're reaching that consumer might not be the right way, or your product, the product that you're creating, they're not able to afford. So either you sort of change the price points of the product you're creating, or you change the approach towards how you're making that product reach that consumer. So there's a target market and a channel for, I would say, if you're sure of your product, there's a way to reach that target market. If you're not able to reach that target market, maybe it's time to adjust the product that you're creating. So it's there's a lot of learning curve every time you're creating a business. And sustainability definitely I think it's more like a necessity for a new age brand to start thinking about, as to how it might not be the center of your brand, but you need to be conscious about the resources you're using. How is your brand benefiting the community, the environment? What kind of space are you entering? So I think for every new age brand right now, it's at least in fashion, I would say, is just a way of doing business more than a USP. But in that, you can carve out your own niche and find your own USP as a brand as well.
Thank you so much, Kriti. And I have to let you go. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. I did not realize that it's going to, move on beyond 8 o'clock. I tried to push this meeting, but I can't. So sorry that I have to sort of leave.
No problem. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you.
So on that note, I request all the participants to please quickly fill out the poll. There are a very few who have, out of 85 participants, few other panelists, but out of 85, it's only 24 who have filled out. It is for your own understanding, because we'll be letting you know, on basis of your answer, what steps you should be taking next. So that is why it is very important for you to fill it out. Moving further, I would like to ask Kirti, with her experience at Okai and now at Relove, what does the industry expect from freshers in terms of creativity and innovation? How do they get started when everyone is looking for an experienced person? So this is one question that I get from a lot of students, that, oh, we don't have experience, or even for us to bag an internship, everybody is looking for some experience, and how do we get a job? So, and for that matter, even if somebody has experience in one particular domain and they want to switch because maybe they were not, they found that their passion was something else, how can they make the switch?
I think while recruiting freshers, companies look at very different criteria. They're honestly at that point not looking for experience. They are looking for the ability to learn very quickly. And if you will see that hiring process of freshers will often include a quick assignment. If they're able to do it, and then overnight or 12 hours, I think it's often time bound. And if they're able to complete the task given to them in that assignment, they're usually looking at a positive attitude, looking at new ways of doing things. I mean, I've learned so much with just by hiring people straight out of college, right? You learn a lot more because you learn about what they're doing right now, what are they learning right now, and what are they shopping, especially if one of the target audiences of the brand is Gen Z. As of now, they're definitely interested in hiring them. So I think focus on what value you can give to the company. I'll tell you, like right now, I'm hiring a content creator, right? Because I'm terrible at making reels, but that's what you need to do right now. You need to make reels. I will not find an experienced resource for this. It will have to be a fresher. And that's a great entry point into a company, right? You may enter, you may make content for a few months, you may actually have to dance for your job, but eventually you can navigate and get into some other role in the company. So I think oftentimes we are hell-bent on doing a certain kind of very strategic jobs. I remember giving a fresher the job to make an Excel sheet, and she was quite offended. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't do data entry," and I was like, "I make Excel sheets even till today. You know, I am still doing this." So I think these menial tasks often are considered as if they are not like really high level tasks, but truly that's what builds a company. Truly that's what all of us are doing on a daily basis. I mean, going through legal documents, right? Like, who wants to do that? But I think that positive approach towards getting in, doing what needs to be done, is so important, because you earn brownie points from the company and the people that you work with. And then you earn the freedom to do anything that you want, your ideas, your proposals. Yeah, so I think that's really my 2 cents.
Thank you. So that is something we got points on what they can do and what they should be doing or what is expected out of them. My next question is for Riddhi. What are some biggest mistakes you have seen freelancers, content writers, journalists make in their career, and how can they be avoided? And for everyone, why we are bringing up different topics here is because when you go into the industry, even if you're hired as a designer, that's not the only thing you'll be doing at the company or for that particular job. You obviously will have to understand all the aspects of working, because everything is interrelated. Everything is everything goes hand in hand ultimately. So yeah, my next question is for Riddhi.
Nidhi, are we talking about mistakes they make while applying for a job or just career mistakes?
So starting point could be while they are applying and during the career. More importantly is during the career.
So when you're applying, like I've said this again, and I will repeat myself, keep your resume honest and simple, because you will be asked a lot of questions depending on what you have written on your CV. So if you say that your hobby is writing, I am definitely going to ask you, who are your favorite authors? What books have you read of them? What do you like about their writing style? If you have just written writing to impress me, then I know that you are lying and you will be straight away rejected. Another thing is, try and do some research about the company that you're applying to. So if it's a magazine, you would want to know what does it write about, because your assignments will definitely be on those lines. So in journalism, often when you come for an interview and if we like you, we tell you sit here and write say 150 words on your favorite restaurant, or write 200 words on your favorite luxury brand. And if you know nothing about it, you have wasted my time and your time. So definitely do your research and don't just apply everywhere. Also figure out that you at least 50% interested in what that company is doing. I know that as freshers is very difficult to determine that, but for instance, if you don't understand finance and if you don't understand numbers and if you're not inclined to numbers, then definitely don't apply. For finance journalism or data journalism, which has a lot of number crunching to do. So those are like my 2-3 cents of do this research and definitely be very honest. Even if you don't like something, say it upfront. And ask a lot of questions, because again, journalism and content is like a 24/7 job. So if you're not ready for it, then please say that, hey, I can't work on weekends. And then we'll tell you, okay, no, this may work and this may not work. So it's good to be honest. It's good to ask questions so you know whether you want to work with an organization as well or not. When it comes to mistakes that people make in their careers, something that Kirti also pointed out is as a journalist, you should be open to learning things. And also, it's a very dynamic profession. I think content is very dynamic. So today, if I say that I will only write for magazines, I will be thrown out of the industry. I will have to adapt. I will have to learn to write to connect with an online audience. I will have to learn to make reels and videos and podcasts. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to adapt, then your career will just end that very minute. Also, not just about different mediums, but you should generally be inquisitive and enthusiastic in life if you want to be in the field of content. So, for instance, if I tell you to cover a literature festival tomorrow, and if I ask you to cover climate crisis the day after, you should be willing to do your research, learn, interact with people, talk to people, go there, do your best and come back with a report. Because there are specialists, but most of us journalists and content creators are generalists, which has its pros and cons, but you just have to be prepared for any kind of assignment, anytime, and just keep learning. And again, something that has been pointed out again as well, that you have to be open to doing all kinds of work and work in all kinds of environments. So I have stayed in the most luxurious hotels that could be, and I have stayed in a hotel room which cost me 20 rupees, where I had to literally sleep, like walk in the room with my chappals. I couldn't bathe there with their tumbler because there were insects in it. So I cut my water bottle, like my plastic water bottle, into half, made that a tumbler, and had my shower that day with that tumbler. So yes, if you want to be a journalist and if you want to be a content creator, you have to be up for all kinds of challenges. If you're not, then you're not going to make it in this business. And most important, it's not, journalism is not a well-paying job. It's led by passion, and I'm being very realistic here. So be prepared for it.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Vidhi. I'm sure a lot would be, at least, I don't want them to get demotivated, but at the same time, be realistic. Be prepared for what you might have to face. And that's life. You know, you have to see ups and downs, be ready for that. Moving on, I would like to ask Amrita to tell us what kind of design preparedness do brands need to embrace in today's world? And we'll have to keep a little, for all the panelists, in the benefit of the time that we are taking, we'll have to keep a little short and quickly move on.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think, Nidhi, the question is, or rather, brands just need to first figure what stage of the business they are in. Are they just at a concept stage and just launching, or, so we know the different stages. So I think some of the brands that I consult with very regularly, and this has become an increasing need, where I think brands are considering, should we hire designers internally, or should we get external designers on freelancing or consulting basis? I think those things can be done provided you know what your business needs and what design requirement it has. So I always nudge business owners, founders, to first be very clear on what's their design ask. And I think once you have that, then you can go looking out. I'll give just one example. You can also, like there was this one project I was working on where there was already a DTP, like a person in the team, but we realized that we could not let go of him because he was needed, because his work was doing a lot of traditional design focused work, and we needed someone who was very good with digital design, right? Like digital communications and the communication design there. So you're creating a lot of things for the website. So we hired someone on a project basis for the brand. She did her job, and then she was just working on a freelance basis as and when she needed. And she just did that knowledge transfer. So I think it all really depends on, as much as we're telling all the designers here to upgrade their knowledge, I keep telling all the brands, even you all need to equally do a lot of that. So I think that's what I want to just say.
I agree completely. It obviously goes hand in hand. It cannot be one way. It has to be both the ways for sure. So for Sachin, everyone has to make a pitch, and a lot of times in their lifetime, thanks to Shark Tank, everyone understands the pressure though. For a job interview, the pitch could be to pitch your business, even for a matrimonial purpose. Can you share a few examples of ice-breaking openings and explain how important those first few seconds are of a pitch?
Thanks, Siri. So when you said Shark Tank, I remembered the pitch that was done by the founder of Paradise, the girl with the colored
Yeah.
hair.
Yes.
तो मौसम बदलता है
Birds
हर
of
4
paradise.
महीने. या बर्ड्स ऑफ पैराडाइज. मौसम बदलता है हर 4 महीने. हमारा मूड बदलता है हर दिन, एंड हमारे बॉयफ्रेंड बदलते हैं हर घंटे. समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट?
Yeah.
एंड
I stay committed.
it really captured your attention, and people wanted to listen, and everybody wanted to listen what else she had to say. So I think one is to be able to have a unique opening, in the sense, what's unique about you, whether it's about your brand or you as a professional or somebody who's trying to get a job. So I mean, just a hypothetical example, if you are a designer but you're also a good writer, you could say that there are many designers out there, but there are very few who can write well as well, and I'm one of those who can bring both these competencies into the job. So that's one thing. I would think that just try to figure out what's unique about you. The second thing is context first. So more often than not, what happens is that we try to speak in what's our assertion, that comes first. I'm really good at this job, I want it, right? As opposed to that, if we put it in the context of what the audience wants. So for instance, if we had to say that, again, I'm not very well versed with softwares for designers and all that, but if you say that this is the software which is going to take over the world in the next few years, and I'm right now only one of the 200 people in this city who actually has used it for the past 2 years or has trained. So that makes a lot more sense for somebody listening to your statement than if you just say, I'm really good at this, why don't you hire me? Which is what a lot of brands do as well. It could be anything, but something that captures the attention. So when I started our conversation, I narrated that quick story of the Peru fight. In a sense, that's opening with a story or some kind of a hook, so that people want to pay attention to what I have to say later on. Fourth thing is spotlight. Like, if you want to share examples, rather than saying that I'm really good at this, if you narrate an anecdote of a particular client or a project and share that particular story, then I think that would be important. And something that I wrote yesterday, which is relevant, and that's my fifth point and last point, is that sometimes it also helps to identify a villain. So I wrote a newsletter yesterday where I was talking about No Broker. No Broker is pretty much a company that is based on this idea that we want to, my pet is barking. Sarika. So yeah, so No Broker is based on this idea that we need to beat this Kishan Khurana from Khosla Ka Ghosla kind of character. And that's what Amit Agarwal is helping do, right? And that's what clarifies the mission as well. So in a way, if you find a common villain between yourself and the audience that you're talking to, maybe just talking about that villain and how we can both get together and beat him or her can also make your conversation or your pitch really interesting. Those were my 5.
Thank you so much, Sachin. I hope I'm audible. My earphones just gave way. Is everyone able to hear me? No.
Yeah, we can't hear you too well.
Okay, I'll try to be a little louder if that helps, because my earphones just died. So yeah.
Murphy's Law.
All right. So yes. So that was about storytelling, and thank you so much, Sachin, for taking that question. Before we proceed further, I would like to congratulate Yosha on raising an angel round for me, Miraki. So a very big congratulations to you, Yosha. And my question is about raising money for the business. When is the right time to raise money, and how?
I mean, yeah, it's different for every business, honestly. And, there's so many businesses, which don't need to raise money externally. The best kind of money is your customers' money. The more you sell and the more, revenue you get in, and you keep building on from that, honestly, that's the best kind of money. But I think the right time is basically when there's some kind of product market fit, there's repeatability in your business, there's the unit metrics are looking strong, there is some kind of gross margin, there's customer love. Those are all the right signs which at least show that you have some kind of product market fit, that what you're building is something that is needed in the world. And once you have that, then what kind of money you need, what do you actually want to do with that money, defines like the amount of money you actually need. So that needs to be very, very clear that, what is that money actually going to be used for? So for example, in our case, we didn't initially need to raise money. I mean, we were doing fine for the last, 2.5 years, and we were bootstrapped, we were building from whatever, basically the revenue we were earning is what was being invested back into the business. But we kept pivoting and we kept, discovering new things to add into our business. And when we started creating these really beautifully recorded, well-produced heritage art and craft masterclasses, is when I realized that actually now to build these well, we do require, to put in more money into this, because it requires a whole team, a production team, a content creation team to be going out there, spending time with where our master artisans are and recording this and then launching this, right? And it needed significant tech investment as well into our platform for launching a whole LMS platform. So it was clear that now it needs to go beyond what we are being able to reinvest back into the business with what we are making. So hence, it became imperative that we need to raise. Once we realized that and the metrics were looking, good, we had decent growth and decent repeatability for our customers. So after that, it's important to then understand where can you raise from, and venture capital money is not the only kind of money. I mean, there's significant number of grants available as well. Revenue-based financing is a very, very, important source of being able to fund your business as well now, especially for D2C brands. I mean, most D2C brands are using a lot of revenue-based financing as well. So I think, yeah, it's very different for every business, but being very clear about why is external money required and what it needs to be used for, and what milestones you can set for when you do raise, if you're successful in raising that money, what milestones you can set for how you'll use it and what it'll do for your business. I think that's quite important overall. And then approaching the right kind of investors as well, because not every investor is the right investor for your business. Especially in our space, it does require a bit of patient capital. Because like I said, I needed to learn to be patient as a founder myself. So even the investors I'm looking for, we do need patient capital in this business. So it needs to have that match as well. So it is a long drawn process, to be honest. So deciding to go the fundraising route and what kind of fundraising to do is, it takes your business in a different direction. So yeah, I would always say that it completely depends on what kind of business it is, and does it even need external funding, or can you actually keep growing bootstrapped in a bootstrapped way?
Thank you so much for answering that. I think I would like to extend the same question to Kirti as well, because Relove too has raised some VC funding, and I'm not very sure that is VC.
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes, better.
Okay, yeah. So I would like to extend the same question to Kirti as well, because Relove too has raised some money. So Kirti, if you could just add on quickly to that.
So Nidhi, I mean, for a tech company, it's absolutely important to raise money, because building technology is expensive and cannot be bootstrapped. It optimizes after a certain point, right? So I guess for us, while we could have bootstrapped it, we are looking at faster growth, considering this is the second time we are both doing this. So we're a lot more confident on how things are going to pan out. Can we do it in 3 years as opposed to 10 years? And so we were clear that we want to go the funding route, and we want to scale much faster. I think that's really plainly that, two main reasons. And we found investors who aligned with us. We have a circular economy investor on board. We have fashion investors, tech investors on board. So it only makes sense for us.
I get that. I completely understand that. So this was all about raising big sum of money for the business. What about freelancers and consultants and service providers now? What should be some important considerations for freelancers in terms of planning and offering services, pricing and managing clients? I would like Ankit to answer this one.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. So I think that for consultants, for freelancers, people who are designers, who are creators, I think for them, they should embrace technology as a whole concept. And I think they should rely on, or they should be willing to share something as a part of the earning also. For example, they should be ready to pay for some kind of convenience. And I think this helps them a lot because this takes away the mind from the operational side of it, and you get to kind of think about what you can offer to your audience, to your network, because that is very important when it comes to creativity. I think creativity needs time, like everyone mentioned, that it takes time for you to identify the niche that you would want to work with, where you would want to go more deeper in terms of offering your services. So I think that being reliant on some tech tools, some operational things, that should take away the major hassle. And don't worry about kind of sharing something or paying for a tool or for anything, because this eventually helps you to grow many fold, and you can manage a lot of things in one place. So I think that is very important for people to embrace technology in whatever format that they can, instead of focusing on the manual part of it, because change is very difficult. I understand a lot of people face that challenge, that they are not able to switch to a new tool. They think that, okay, I will waste some time, but consider that as an investment in yourself. It's not a wastage of time, it's an investment that you're doing to kind of upgrade you. So I think that is very important.
Thank you so much, Ankit, for answering that. And I think because we've taken way too long for these many questions, and I would cancel out the activity of the breakout room, and we can straight away move on first for the question and answer session. And maybe if we have time and our panelists still can stay with us, continue with the few more questions that I had for the panelists. So I would just ask all the participants to be ready with their questions. And if you have not already filled out the forms for the next survey, the poll that I have launched, please fill that out quickly. Be ready with your questions that you want to ask. Just raise your hand and I will unmute you to ask your question. So if anyone is ready, you can start raising your hand. Okay, if you guys do not have questions, I have a lot of questions for my panelists, so I can go on. And unless they tell me that, we can't answer your questions anymore, we are ready to leave. So if you guys have anything, please raise your hand. So Neha has raised. Neha, you can unmute yourself and please ask the question.
Hi everyone. So thank you so much, Nidhi, for organizing it. It was a major takeaway for me. And thank you to each panelist. I did have a lot of takeaway from each one of your experience. My question is very crisp, and it's divided into two major elements. One, as a person who's seeking job, and as a person who's trying to figure out the areas where we want to fit in, how do we not get overwhelmed by the chunk of information that's thrown online and digitally at us? I would appreciate if any one of you can take this. Also, the second one is, a lot of times we're seeking validation for the work that we do, and it's often as a fresher or as someone who started, it's very rare that we get validation right early in our career. So how do you still stay motivated and keep going where you're going and still reach there?
That's an open question for any of the panelists who would like to take up that one. Neha, if you have anyone specific whom you want.
So I'm a sustainability enthusiast. I've been following Relove a lot. If Kirti would want to take it, or if Sachin would want to take it, I'm open to anyone.
Great. I think I'll answer the validation question first. I related more with that. I think it's so important. It's validation is not just important to you. It's important at all stages. Till today, I think I am also often seeking validation, right, from the world that, hey, is Relove cool enough or not, right? So it'll never end. And you do need to work with people who will appreciate you and will not make you, sort of improve just because you're not good enough. right? So you don't want to be in that kind of work environment where people are not acknowledging you. So there are great work environments where people are not insecure enough to appreciate young people who are working and doing a great job. I think you just need to find those environments.
So I think that's one part of your question answered. Sachin is ready to take up the question.
Yep. Neha, thanks for the question. So about information overload. So since Kirti has already answered the validation question, and I think she's a better person to answer that. I think of information like entering a bookstore, and I understand that there's so much information digitally, and I'm someone who's also felt paralyzed because of it. But now the approach that I use is if you're entering a bookstore, you see a lot of book titles, right? And there are so many titles around there. You probably pick up a few which you find interesting. And from those few that you picked up, you probably skim through the pages and see if it actually meets the promise that the title made. And then you commit to maybe one or two which you walk out of the bookstore and then deep dive into it. So information on the internet also is something that I would say that you need to have the same kind of approach. There are some things which are just skimming through titles. Level 2 is that you are skimming through some more information to see if it holds your interest. And level 3 is when you're deeply committed to that particular thing and saying that, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out and find out everything that there is about this. So that's how I would, that's my suggestion.
Hi, Neha. I just want to quickly add to the validation thing to what Kirti said. My suggestion, I think that's a question at a very human level all of us can relate to. But I think one thing I have learned, and I see a lot of people around me also doing that now, is find a mentor. Find a mentor who it's very important because there's a lot of information overload all around us, right? And we can't stop ourselves from getting affected by whatever. So I think it's very important to find a mentor who gets the work that you are looking at building. And I think keep that filter, and I think that'll help you. That's my
Thank you so much, everyone. Nidhi, if you just allow me, I'll just have a follow-up question quickly.
Neha, we'll take first Shelley's question, and then maybe if we do not have too many people asking questions, then maybe you can go ahead.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah. Shelley, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for having this interactive session. I'd just quickly go on to my question. So it's related to a current dilemma that I'm presently facing, and it's a little personal also. And I'd love to get Kirti and Amrita ma'am's opinion on it. I am a NIFT Mumbai graduate from last year, and I'm working on building my own brand. And I do have a strong vision and potential. So I got accepted into the London College of Fashion for Masters in Entrepreneurship and Management. However, I'm at a tough spot with the decision whether to go or not, because of course there are two sides to it, and I see a 50-50 of it. Also, if you could get, like, if I could get to know your opinion on pursuing short courses in skill-based topics from reputed colleges abroad as opposed to a master's. Yes, thank you.
Kirti, you want to take that?
I actually don't believe in education at all. So I think, look, I never went. I got through many colleges. I didn't go. I think I'm doing fine. I think if I had gone, I would have had to take a job and pay back all the money, right? I would have had a very different life. I mean, if you're asking me yes or no, I would say I would have not gone and done something. But if you think that your path is maybe getting a job over there and earning, money over there and not coming back and starting a business, or if you can afford it, your parents have a lot of money, go for it.
And I'd like to validate
so
that
I think
actually exactly the same. Yeah, I've and like Kirti said, she didn't do all that, but I've done two masters actually, and I use none of that. What I'm doing now is I finally feel what I'm doing now is what I was meant to do, and it has nothing to do with my education, to be honest. So everything I've done, I've learned it on the job. I've taught myself, and again, like Kirti, I think I've done okay. So completely agree with that. Actually, there's so much you can learn just by doing.
I'm a hotel management graduate, by the way.
Shelley,
Yeah,
just
thank you so much. I think I
Yeah.
just needed to hear all these answers. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a son 3 months ago, and I don't even want to send him to school. That's how
Yeah,
it
I think I read your story on that. Yeah.
Shelley, I think the only thing I can add is, and what I have learned is do short-term courses in areas, in skills which you really feel you want to focus on. And you can do that very much in India. You don't, I mean, if the affordability is a thing, you want to do, like I've gone to London for a very short course. I could afford that course, so I went for it, and I use it a lot now in my work. So figure the kind of courses you want to do, and then lots of short-term courses, and keep using them in your work. And I think you'll be far better off like that than any of that what Kirti and I mean to add to what Kirti and Yusha was saying.
All right. Yes, thank you. Actually, I also have already begun working, so like at a small room in the side of my house. And the reason I could not actually switch on my camera was because I'm at the workshop. So I think this is the right path for me. I would continue working on the ground level things, and I take up short courses.
All the best.
Riddhi, I
Thank
believe
you
you
so
wanted to
much.
add on something there. You were on.
Yeah. I mean, Shelly, I don't want to confuse you, but I usually tell my juniors and interns that you first work for a couple of years, see what kind of like what you're really interested in, and then maybe you can sort of deep dive in that particular niche. So don't go for maybe like broader subjects or broader courses, which is like PR or journalism or something like that. But if you've been a journalist for 5 years, and if you think environment or climate change is something that you're interested in, or design or art is something that you're interested in, then go for courses that will take your knowledge and your writing to the next level in that particular niche. So that's my 2 bits.
We can
All
have
right, ma'am.
Aishwarya ask a
I'll
question now.
definitely take a note of it. Thank
Aishwarya, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So I just wanted to ask, I am an interior designing student in first year. So I just wanted to ask, like when I step out of the course, how do I approach to companies? Because as of now, what I have explored of myself, according to my faculty, they are like, you have designs which are a bit futuristic. So how do I, make, of course, it's a USP for me as I see it, but there are companies which are having very cliche designs and picking up things from, Pinterest. And because for interior designers, most of the interior designers, it's happening like people are picking up things from Pinterest and not creating things. So how do I approach to companies with my designs? And as in, of course, patience is the key, as you all said. But I really want to explore on my designs. And is it the Indian market that I should go with, or should I step into some market which is outside India?
So you want to ask that question to any particular panelist, or
Ma'am, anybody who could just answer the question.
So who would want to take that up? I think you'll have to direct it to somebody, because everyone can answer, of course.
Yeah, definitely. As Ankit sir was talking about technology, and so I have designs which uses a lot of technology. So I'm not just talking about social media or something like that. If Ankit sir could answer my question, it would be great.
Yeah, definitely, Ashway. So I think what you need to think about is that, see, you're looking for these kind of employers. So I think there's a research that you need by which are the employers or which are the companies who kind of appreciate this kind of work. So like, for example, there are new age companies who kind of embrace technology in a very different manner, be it with design, be it with tech, be it with product. So maybe you can start applying to them, having a chat with them. And at the same time, the decision could not be whether it's in India or US. The decision should be that who is your ideal employer. You have to make a kind of a list. So usually what we do in that case is that we take up a list and we something like that. So someone will be like the most aspirational company that you would want to get in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and then some would be like your second company. So this way you kind of prioritize and then start applying to them.
Thank you so much.
Also, Aishwarya, just to quickly add, one of the things you could do is also do like a personal project, right? Don't wait, since it's very, I mean, with low investment, if you can sort of do a personal pilot of what you're really looking at creating, right? And include that in your portfolio, so that it starts looking like people can see it in a more live sort of a capacity than just an idea in your mind, so yeah, and maybe put it out, in conversations. I think that could be another thing to consider.
Thank you, ma'am.
We can move on to Shivangi. Yeah, sorry, Riddhi, please go ahead.
No, that's okay. We can move on.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. So Aishwarya, also I have written on architecture, design, lighting, etc. And I can tell you that there's a lot happening in this space in India and even abroad. We probably might be a little behind, but one of the ways to approach this is you can also attend a lot of big ticket international shows. I wouldn't say big ticket, but at least like reputed international shows that present some really avant-garde work, like say Salone di Mobile, which will start on 18th April. It's going to be Italy. If you can't go there, you can always check them out on social media and see the kind of work that is being done there and who are doing this, and you can connect with the right kind of people.
Thank you so much to all of you for answering that. We can move on to Shivangi's question now. And we'll be wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, please quickly raise your hands and we can see how many we can take more. Shivangi, you can unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. So hello, everyone. My question is open to all. So I'm a textile designer and my question is, what advice would you all like to give to a person who want to start their own business as an individual, like don't have a team or neither a background, business background, and I cannot afford the MBA degree. So yes, either I can invest that money that I have in my business, or I can have a master's degree. So yeah.
Is that directed specifically to someone, Shivangi?
No, ma'am. It's an open question.
Okay. Who would like to take that? So Sachin, anything that you would want to add on here?
Yeah. So Shivangi, your question was, if I understand correctly, you want to be a single person business, and how do you build something like that? Was that the question, or at least a part of it?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Interesting. So, so the way that my company or my work is built is slightly similar. Though I do have a co-founder, but it's only the two of us. So a lot of it then depends on what your goals are, right? Like, for instance, do you want to work as a freelancer and make a certain amount of money, take up certain kind of projects, or do you want to be really good at a particular craft and then be able to teach that craft to a lot of other people? So that's what essentially I am going for. I'm trying to get better at business storytelling every day and use that knowledge and turn that into training modules, etc., which then goes to corporates and to individuals as well. So I would say, I mean, again, I will sound like a broken record, but I would say that maybe give yourself a few years of work experience, build a portfolio for yourself, because it's important for the market to know you, right? For you to have some kind of portfolio, testimonials, success stories that you can use. Once you have that and you think that, hey, you know what, I have learned everything that I could learn in a job and I've created a portfolio for myself, maybe a year or two before you actually want to quit, you start building your own, not necessarily just your online presence, but some kind of presence, whether it's website, whether it's your portfolio, whether it is going out and networking. So I think what Nidhi is building is something that might be very relevant to you. meeting other people, because you have to collaborate a lot when you are a single person business. Because at the end of the day, a lot of clients want complete solutions, right? But you are able to probably take charge of one aspect of the entire process. So in that case, you at least need to know who are the other 8 people who can partner with you and deliver a complete solution to clients. So two ways to go, like I said, one, either you work on a particular craft, build yourself as a freelancer, or two, become so good at the craft that you are able to teach that craft to others. Of course, you can do both of these things also. There are people who do that. In fact, some of my work is linked to that. So apart from doing coaching and training, I also do consulting projects for some brands where they are able to invest a certain kind of money. So yeah, I would say craft and teaching. If you can mix these two, or at least focus on each of these, but work for a few years, build a portfolio, build a network, and then get into it. That's my suggestion.
Okay,
And I
sir.
second that. I definitely second that. I would definitely suggest not to jump into the business aspect of it. Work for a few years, gain experience, understand how the industry works, whichever industry you want to get into and you want to start your own business with. Work in that industry in different roles and responsibilities, and then go ahead with starting your own stuff. With that, I think we do not have any more questions from the attendees, and we will wrap up. I just have a request for everyone to fill out the feedback form that I've shared here. That is also required for you all to be giving me correct name and email address so that I can share your participation certificate on that. And I want to extend my thank you to all the panelists. And as the session draws to close, we want to thank all of you, for being here today and sharing your insights and expertise. We hope that you all enjoyed being here. And I would like, to extend that thanks on behalf of all the attendees as well. I'm sure everybody, including me, we all have gained wealth of knowledge and practical advice on building a successful career in the design industry. We encourage you all to stay in touch with SetuGram, where you can find job postings, resources, and community support. You can also please follow all the panelists here on their social media channels, be it LinkedIn, Instagram. All of them are very active over there. LinkedIn is one place where you should definitely go and follow all our panelists, because you'll definitely find a lot of value in building your career. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. To all my panelists for taking out the time and sharing all the wealth of knowledge that they have.
Cool. This was fun. Nidhi, thanks a lot for inviting me. Yeah, I was happy to get connected with everyone. Look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Nidhi, for having me as well. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.